Good day, Junior Techies, and welcome to this video where we're looking at bryophytes as one of the classifications in our plant diversity section. My name is Mr. P. I'm going to be taking you through this section, and hopefully by the end of it we are going to have a much better understanding of bryophytes, particularly their reproductive cycle. Right, so let's have a look in a bit more detail over here. So firstly, we look at the fact that bryophytes produce spores, and spores will be released and in favorable conditions will germinate. So a spore may land on a piece of land that is moist, and this moisture will trigger the germination of the spore. And we'll see that the first thing that grows is what we call a protonema. All right, this protonema, which has originated from the spore, will result in buds along the protonema, and these buds will eventually grow to form the Gametophyte plant, which are the male and the female structures of the moss plant. And we're looking particularly here at the moss plant as the example of bryophyte, and we'll elaborate a little bit in this context. So here we can see that our buds are starting to grow a little bit, and they are going to form their male and their female structures. Now this is important for us because if this plant is forming male and female structures, it means there are going to be male and female gametes. And if there are male and female gametes, there's going to be a need for fertilization. So looking here at my Gametophyte plant, we find our male structures, and we refer to them as the antheridia, and female structures as the archegonia. They are present on this Gametophyte plant, and then they're going to produce the sperm and the ova respectively. Now, in order for the sperm to move to the ova for fertilization to take place, we're going to need a medium, and the medium in this case is going to be water. Without water, fertilization is not going to take place. We find that the archegonia is going to result in the venter, and our embryo is going to grow from the venter and is going to result in a nice seta. We can see the seta with the sporangium at the end, and this is that reproductive structure that is going to produce spores at the end of the day. And these homosporous spores, in other words, each of these spores is the same, will be released into the environment, and the process is going to repeat itself. Now, you'll see I've already separated the two generations of the bryophyte, particularly the Gametophyte generation from the sporophyte generation. And in this case, this plant is dominated by its Gametophyte generation. And it is only for a very short time that we find the plant in its sporophyte generation, as we see here. Now we know the sporangium is going to release its spores in dry conditions only. This is very, very similar to the pteridophyte plants. The example we did there is the fern plant. So if we look at bryophytes evolving or moving from their very, very specific physiological structure, if I can call it that, their structure, and then evolving to what we know as the fern plant or pteridophyte, we can see that slowly these adaptations and these evolutionary characteristics that the plant seems to bring on later on as its genetics start to mutate and we have these new structures. This process evolves as well. So these reproductive processes that the plants rely on so heavily do change as plants evolve over time, and this time being very, very, very long. I'm going to look a little bit now at the reproduction and fertilization specifically, and I've drawn the antheridia and the archegonia here, and the archegonia, I've pointed out the ova for us. Now the ova is within the archegonia, and our sperm that has been released by the antheridia needs to make its way all the way to the ova, and the way that it does that is that it is going to swim, and this is where water as a medium is so important. The archegonia actually helps the process by releasing what we call a spermafactant. So it's like an attractive force to the sperm so that the sperm knows exactly where it's going. And then once the sperm has moved down the archegonia to the ova, fertilization is going to take place. And an embryo is going to form, and that is going to grow into the sporophyte plant. And I'm just coloring in here just to make doubly sure that we understand that water is so necessary for this specific process. Right, well, I hope this has given you a little bit more insight, some extra information, and bettered your understanding of bryophytes, particularly the Gametophyte generation and the Sporophyte generation within the moss plant, and how it all fits together. Do tune in for some of the other videos in the plant diversity section. Get your hands on the theory booklet as well as the worksheet and the worksheet memo. Practice a couple of those questions to make sure that you are prepared for your final exams. Thanks so much, Junior Tickies. I hope to see you again.